everyone, it's Lucy from My Crazy Craft Life, and I'm here today with a design team post for Scrapping for Less. I am going to be using this adorable stamp set, Fox and Friends, from My Favorite Things. This is such an adorable set. I used it on a card a few weeks ago and I just love it, so I wanted to make something else with it. So the first thing I do is I stamp out the images. I use the Misty just to hold it in place, make sure I get a good stamped image or a good image of the stamp, whatever. And I used Hero Arts Intense Black ink. I used Copics to do the coloring for these. Those were the ones. And I also used two other ones that I pulled out later. And those two are E21 and E35. So I also used those two on the fox when I was coloring them. I like to start the foxes with the orange, that light orange, because I like the undertone that it gives. Even though I cover up the orange, I just like the undertone that is there for the fox coloring with the orange in it. And this time I ended up using grays for like the muzzle and the tail, and on a couple of them the inside of their belly, because when I used my scan and cut to cut them out last time, and I just used a little bit of gray to give it some shading. It thought it was actually separate pieces because they were white, and so it kind of cut them in half, I guess you want to say, or cut out the muzzle, so it ended up being like 3 different pieces. So this time I used the gray on the muzzle and those parts just so, like I said, I can make sure that I could get it all cut out. I don't have dies for these. I very rarely buy dies anymore unless they're specialty dies for that reason. Then I just got my big stack of paper that I had from leftover Flavor of the Month card kits and picked out some papers that I thought would go well with the thought that I had for this card. The green piece I cut out. I'm making a standard A2 size card, so it's 4.5 by 5 1/4. The piece of green I cut out at 4 inches by 5 1/4. The blue I cut out a 1/4 inch smaller than that, just so that no edges would come out or anything, but I wanted that to be the background of the card. And then I used circle dies to cut out a circle for the green, and then I end up popping, I want a lot of dimension on this card, and I end up popping that piece up. Then I made a frame by using the largest circle and the third largest circle in the set of nested circles, stitch circle dies, so that I kind of make a frame that's going to go around that. And then I also popped up that frame. Now I do end up going back and putting in the inside of the frame circle to kind of break up that blue, because I wanted to have it look like they're actually standing on something. So kind of a field of flowers was what my thought was. And here I was just kind of playing a lot to try to figure out exactly where I wanted to place all of the images, and I ended up only using 3 of the images. Now I had pulled out a bunch of stuff from my stash. I pulled out some puffy dots, I pulled out action wobblers from Art Impressions, I pulled out some sequins, and I pulled out some ribbon from an old Flavor of the Month kit. And I ended up using the puffy dots, the action wobbler, and the ribbon on this card. So there you can see I'm just trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do there. I ended up using the 2 mice, and then I also pulled out these flowers, but I didn't end up using them on the card. I think those are pretty though, and I'm going to have to find something to use on there. So that's where I stuck the circle, the rest of the circle from the frame in there. And I thought it would be super cute to have the one mouse that kind of looks like he's jumping, kind of jumping through the air, and having the other little mouse looks like he's catching them, because I'm using the sentiment, "You make me happy" dance. So I thought that was just super cute with them like dancing, and then the little fox there I thought was cute. So what I did was that as I just kind of lowered where I actually wanted it to go a little bit, that circle, and I drew a line just so I kind of knew where to place that circle so that it lined up properly. And then there I just popped on that frame. So like I said, I wanted this to have a lot of dimension, so the little mouse that looks like he's jumping into the arms is actually on. I popped him up because he's the same height as the popped up first panel, bottom panel of that. And then I ended up having to add a little bit more foam tape to the frame because it was kind of going inside and it wasn't going to be popped up enough. So this is actually like two-dimensional as far as that. And then I popped up, or not popped up, but I used the action wobbler on the little fox because I wanted it to show like he was dancing, so he can kind of wiggle around like he is taking a dance. Then I just used a scrap piece of white cardstock to stamp the image, and I just decided I wanted to have a banner all the way across the card. When I first cut it, I cut it the size, so 5.5 inches instead of the 4.25 inches, the size of the card. So you'll actually see me going back there and redoing it again because I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't. That's probably part of the problem. So I do end up popping up the sentiment again. Now that's the same height as the frame. And I put that kind of there at the bottom, and then I made a bow out of that ribbon and then stuck the bow on there. Then I take some of the puffy dots and I just put them in a couple different areas on the card. One to kind of accent the sentiment, I put a few there, and then up on the top left corner of the card I put 3 of the same size puffy dots to kind of make it a little bit more, give it a little bit more of an accent. So that is my card. I thought it turned out super cute and I had a lot of fun working with this stamp set. So you can check it out on the blog at scrappingforless.com, and you can pick up your stamp set over there as well. They got a brand new website, so make sure you go and check that out. Thanks and have a great day.